Right now at 6, KOAM and Fox 14 are back at full power. We'll tell you more about the KOAM More Power project.
Plus, the 79th annual Carver Day celebration is underway at the George Washington Carver National Monument in Diamond. We'll take you there.
And Pitt State hosting their first surplus sale in nearly 3 years. You're watching the KOAM News at 6, and it starts right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bella Line.
And I'm Chris Warner. We want to welcome all of you back to KOAM TV. It's been several weeks, but we are now not only back up to full power, but more power than we have ever had before.
This is some video from the KOAM sky view of the project as it took shape. For most newer TVs, you won't have to do anything, but if you have an older TV,
you may need to rescan and just make sure that you are able to pick us up again. But we are back, and we've been told that our signal's reaching as far as upwards of 90 miles away. So thank you for your patience during this entire project.
Very impressive, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Officials with the Nevada Police Department have released information regarding the capture of a Kansas wanted fugitive. Information developed in an ongoing investigation of the Bourbon County, Kansas Sheriff's Office and the Bates County, Missouri Sheriff's Office was that a wanted man was in the Nevada city limits. SWAT units served a search warrant at the home the fugitive was believed to be at. That suspect was taken into custody, and suspect's name and charges are not being released at this time. We'll have more details as they become available at KOAMnewsnow.com.
The Kansas Department of Health and Environment says it's identified a presumptive positive case of monkeypox in the state. The KDHE says it was working with the Johnson County Health Department and did the testing in a KDHE laboratory. Officials say the patient is an adult resident who lives in Johnson County. The KDHE is working to identify all possible contacts the patient may have had, and it says the patient had recently traveled out of the state. Health officials say the risk of monkeypox spreading in Kansas remains low, and if you're experiencing symptoms, it's important to stay home and contact your doctor as soon as possible to avoid spreading the disease to others.
We've seen another warm one, but not nearly as hot as it has been the last few days. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us.
We've had a few good factors to help us out and giving us a bit of relief from the heat, Chris and Bella. Not only do we have quite a bit of cloud cover throughout the day, which we're still seeing of from 7th and Range Line, but at the very least, we're also not seeing any rain, resulting in the cloud cover that's finally beginning to break apart as we go into the evening. Also, behind a passing cold front, a north and northeasterly breeze keeps on bringing in drier air. That also is aiding in a pretty good day and a pretty good evening as far as what we have lined up for everybody. You can see our northeastern counties in the lower to middle 80s, but once you hit northeast Oklahoma especially, you have upper 80s to near 90. Thankfully, that lower humidity means the hottest it feels is maybe the lower 90s. Everyone else is looking pretty good, and we're going to stay good as far as temperatures in the skies go for the rest of the evening. We'll fall through the 80s, 70s, and eventually we will drop back down into the mid-60s for overnight lows. But Chris and Bella, we've got varying levels of heat for the week ahead. We'll break it down here in a few.
Sounds like a great couple days coming up. Thank you, Nick. Today marks the 79th Carver Day celebration at the George Washington Carver National Monument. The monument was the first one dedicated to an African American in our country's history. The celebration featured tours of the facility, demonstrations of his life, along with live music and dancing.
Pictured everything happening as he was a kid running around in the woods, and me and my mother, we shedded a little tears because we are really on a historic plantation right now, and not a lot of children that are our age can say that or even perform and tell the story about George Washington Carver. Many people, like we said, know him as the Peanut Man, but he was much more.
George Washington Carver claimed to have found over 300 uses for the peanut.
Pittsburgh State University held their first surplus sale in nearly 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Surplus sale is held at the physical plant on campus. It's an opportunity for the university to take furniture, tools, and other extra items the university doesn't need and sell them to the public. And sometimes professors and students find a little something extra to take home to their dorms or to their classrooms.
A lot of teachers that come through, especially this year. We've had a lot of teachers looking for things for classrooms. So that was a big number of people that came through this time that I've heard comments about.
The items that are not sold at the sale will be donated to local Habitat for Humanities.
The TYP Nutrition and TYP Track Club are raising money for some special athletes. Several kids on the TYP Track Club have qualified for the Junior Olympics national track meet this summer in North Carolina. The fundraiser, featuring a car wash and food, is to help with the cost of travel for the athletes that qualified.
So to say that they're top 6 out of everybody from Kansas City, Oklahoma region, all the way down towards Little Rock, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty special. And then people ask us where we are. Where you guys from? Joplin. They go, oh, Joplin. I'm like, a little small town, but, you know, we got the talent is here. So, you know, the kids are proud, the parents are proud. So, you know, it's a huge deal for them.
To qualify for the meet, they had to place top 6 in an event at a regional meet that featured hundreds of other competitors.
Well, there were more protests today around the country as the divide over federal abortion rights continues.
It's been a little more than 2 weeks since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Michael George reports.
From Los Angeles to Chicago to Washington, D.C. Hundreds of abortion rights advocates marched Saturday, their anger targeted.
Supreme Court has got to go!
The D.C. march ended with a sit-in at the White House, where Friday President Biden issued an executive order that expands access to FDA-approved abortion medication, protects online privacy and access to contraception, provides legal help for patients and providers, and upholds the right to travel out of state to get an abortion. But the president stressed his power is limited and urged Americans to elect lawmakers who are pro-abortion rights.
We need 2 additional pro-choice senators and a pro-choice House to codify Roe as federal law.
But it's unclear if Democrats can keep control of the House. Virginia's GOP governor, Glenn Youngkin, rumored to be considering a 2024 presidential bid, was the headline speaker at Nebraska's Republican convention, streaming it over Twitter.
And taking a moment to thank our Lord for our Supreme Court.
He predicts a wave of Republicans will be elected into office this fall.
This is our moment. It's our moment because we have seen exactly what Joe Biden has been doing to our nation.
At least 10 states have enacted a near total ban on abortion. Nearly 24 more have taken steps to outlaw or severely restrict it. Louisiana's abortion ban went back into effect Friday following a legal challenge. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The U.S. House of Representatives is expected to take up a pair of abortion rights bills next week, but neither is likely to go anything or anywhere in the Senate.
We take this time now to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. Staff Sergeant Robert Boyer served in the Air Force in Vietnam. His hometown is Nevada, and we're proud to recognize Staff Sergeant Robert Boyer, tonight's 4-state hero. Remember to learn more about our other heroes or to nominate one of your own at any time. Just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Still ahead, the FDA has approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15.
The FDA has approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15.
Well, the Food and Drug Administration's Action Friday is the first approval for this age group. The vaccine from Pfizer and BioNTech had previously been available for this age group under emergency use authorization. Vaccine makers applied for emergency use authorization because the authorization process takes less time than a full approval. Under the brand named Comirnaty, the vaccine has been approved for people over 16 since August of last year. The Pfizer vaccine will still be available to other age groups under its emergency use authorization.
The FDA is importing over 8.5 million pounds of infant formula from Australia. It is expected to ship the first week of August. That's just under 5 million cans. From Australian company Care A2+. The formula will be distributed to stores across the country. This comes from an FDA increased the flexibility to import formula.
Seafood fans may want to take a close look inside their kitchen. Bumblebee Foods is voluntarily recalling some of its smoked clams for safety-related concerns. According to the Food and Drug Administration, some levels of unsafe chemicals were found in the 3.75-ounce cans. Products in question were sold nationwide to limited retailers. The FDA says no related illnesses have been reported and no other Bumblebee products are affected by this recall. Consumers are advised to either throw out these clams or take them back to the place of purchase for a refund. You can find more information on the FDA's website. Losing a loved one can have a serious impact on your health, and there's new data on the effectiveness of COVID boosters.
Michael George has this week's top health stories.
Heart failure patients who recently lost a loved one face a greater risk of death. The American College of Cardiology found that broken heart syndrome is a real phenomenon, especially among heart patients who lost a spouse or partner. The greatest risk was during the first week after losing a loved one. A new study suggests benefits for patients of long-term care facilities who received a first booster dose of the COVID vaccine. Tel Aviv University researchers studied more than 18,000 people when the Delta variant was surging. The risk of severe disease, hospitalization, and death was lower among patients who received a third dose of the Pfizer vaccine, compared to patients who received 2 doses 5 months or more before. It turns out there's actual science behind feeling hangry when you haven't eaten in a while. A study by Anglia Ruskin University tracked participants' hunger and mood over 3 weeks. They found hunger leads to stronger feelings of anger and irritability and lower overall levels of pleasure. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A little later, if the heat has you craving something sweet, stick around for our What Day Is It?
Plus, our upper level ridge has been shunted back to the west. That's what kept us warm and less humid today. But we'll see if this and the heat can return for the week ahead when we come back. It is about time that we got a bit of a break from the unrelenting July heat and humidity. We saw a bit of that start the other day. At least we didn't hit 100 degrees at Joplin Regional, but still upper 90s the other day. Finally back into the lower 70s this morning, and only highs in the upper 80s around Joplin for much of the area this afternoon. So the cold front did its job of bringing in some slightly cooler air, and drier air still continuing to filter in. That's going to aid in keeping our Sunday quiet with mostly sunny skies to wrap up the weekend. Other than that, I am watching a front on Tuesday that could bring in some slight rain chances. But as far as temperatures go next week, it's going to be, let's just say, varying levels of hot. And you'll see what I mean as we really start to break down the extended forecast as we continue along. But that's a nice looking shot from 7th and Range Line. Quite a bit of cloud cover up top, but that's also what helped aid in temperatures not turning so hot today. We're at 84 in Joplin, a northeast wind to 12. It is knocking those dew points back down to the mid to upper 60s. That is certainly helping things out as well. We've got lower 80s around Stockton Lake. Everybody else mainly in the mid to upper 80s. With just a little bit of humidity still, you have to have it feel a few degrees warmer in terms of how your skin or body's responding to this. But even at the hottest spots with it feeling like the lower 90s, that is a marked improvement. And also the wind also aiding in making today a lot more tolerable with that northeast breeze at about 5 and sometimes 15 miles per hour. As far as the rest of the evening goes, we'll fall through the 80s, 70s, down to about 67 for most of us tonight. So that is going to be really refreshing compared to us starting in the 80s not too long ago, a couple mornings back. We still have a good north and northeast breeze behind our cold front, which is well to the south of us now. This is the next front I'm watching that won't come into play until Tuesday, but upstairs, we are not being influenced by that upper level ridge at this point, but this still wants to play a role in our forecast as we go into a good portion of next week. But as far as this evening goes, we'll continue to see the cloud cover eventually break apart. And I'm expecting mostly clear skies by the morning, with again lows back in the middle to upper 60s. We fast forward through the day tomorrow, dry air still in place, but with a returning easterly breeze, that is going to allow at least for a bit of a warm-up. 67 in the morning, 85 by noon. I think most of us topping out around 92. Then, as we go into Monday, we'll start the day out in the upper 60s to lower 70s, but we're going to have to push back into the upper 90s as part of the ridge wants to build back in. But here's Tuesday. There's that cold front from the northwest wanting to push the ridge back a bit. It could bring in a few storms that will still keep us in the lower 90s. But here's how we look by the end of next week, though. That upper ridge may not build back in on top of us, but it does want to bring some of that July heat and maybe a little extra July humidity our way. But Looking at 92 tomorrow, 98 Monday, back to 92 on Tuesday. And then once we get past Tuesday's front, we are going to see highs back near 101 for Friday and Saturday. So even though we've got more hot days to come, everybody, at least I'm not seeing a big return of the humidity. So at least that's a little silver lining for the week ahead.
Yeah, well, I love today's weather, so I was thankful we got a little bit of a break before we get back into those hundreds.
I know, and it was about time too. It was just the heat and humidity we had this week was just unrelenting. And anytime we can get a break, we'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Nick.
All right.
Thank you. Turning to sports, Joplin Outlaws closing out a road stretch this evening.
Yeah, they're in St. Joe tonight before a few days off. We'll have those details. Plus, Webb City 12U meets Joplin American in the district tournament semifinals. Those highlights coming up. The Joplin Outlaws have dropped their last 3 games. 2 of those losses went to extra innings. They're back in action tonight for their final game before the Mink League All-Star Game. Joplin on the road at St. Joe tonight. First pitch is at 7 p.m. We'll have the latest right here at 10. In Little League baseball action, the Webb City 12U team is competing in the District 2 tournament this weekend. Webb City faces Joplin American today in the semifinals. Tied at 1 in the third, Brady Holland doubles into the gap in right. Brayton Robinson making his way from first, scores on the play, and that's the go-ahead run for Webb City. It's 2-1. Bottom half, Holland solid on the mound. 2 strikeouts here in the third. And then he makes the leaping grab for the third out. Webb City hangs on to win 3-1, earning a spot in the championship game on Monday. The Cardinals lost the series opener of a 4-game set to the Phillies on Friday. Game 2 today, 0-0 all the way through. Phillies score off a sac fly in the top of the 9th. They win 1-0. Dakota Hudson pitches 6 scoreless innings for St. Louis. He gives up 2 hits and strikes out 4 batters. The Royals are coming off a walk-off win in the opener against the Guardians, looking for back-to-back wins here today, but it's not Kansas City's day. They're never really in this one. 23 hits for the Guardians in the game, and they blow out the Royals 13-1. 23-ranked Elena Rybakina won at Wimbledon this morning, making her the youngest woman at age 23 to win the title since 2011. She's also the second lowest ranked player to win since the rankings were introduced in 1975. After dropping the first set, Rybakina came back from behind to beat Ons Jabeur 3-6, 6-2, 6-2. It's her first major title. We'll be right back.
Prepare to warm up the oven Saturday. That's because it's National Sugar Cookie Day.
That sounds pretty delicious. July 9th is dedicated to celebrating the humble but very tasty sugar cookie. The popular baked good was first called the Nazareth cookie after the Pennsylvania town where it originated. German Protestant bakers may have brought the recipe with them when they immigrated to America in the mid-1700s. Today, the dessert might take different shapes thanks to cookie cutters. Some sugar cookie fans add icing, colored sugar, and even edible glitter. But no matter how you slice and bake it, the simplest cookie is often the best, just pure, buttery, sugary goodness. I don't know about anybody else, but man, I do love a good sugar cookie.
Now the question becomes, what's the best one? I think it's the ones from Great American Cookie Company.
Okay.
I think those are always the best sugar cookies.
I don't know about sugar cookies, but have you guys tried crumble cookies?
I've never even heard of a crumble.
I have not.
Incredible.
I think they're opening up one next to the Sport Clips in Joplin.
And I believe they have one in Parsons as well. So good. They have different flavors every week. Incredible.
So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a cookie break, and then we'll be back later in time for the show.
We need an inside scoop on the crumble opening up soon.
Yeah, we certainly do. We need cookies brought here as soon as they open. That's how we can get the inside scoop, is if they bring cookies in here. So I'm just saying. Nick, it's a little bit better today.
Yeah, and thankfully not hot enough to bake cookies on the pavement since we got a break from that type of heat today, thankfully. We'll still be okay tomorrow. Highs are 92, a little bit hotter, but the humidity stays low. 98 Monday, back near 92 Tuesday with the front, and maybe a few storms Tuesday. But unfortunately, once we hit the end of next week, back into the triple digits we'll go.
I'm not looking forward to the end of next week, but I guess we'll just have to take it.
But the humidity, I think, stays low even at that point. So
That's
fingers
good.
crossed we can at least keep that at bay.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's very good.
Danny, what do we have to look forward to in the sports world?
Yeah, it was nice not sweating outside shooting baseball. Webb City won today in the semifinals. The 12U Little League team, they will play in the championship game on Monday.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That is our time for now. We'll be back here at 9 and 10, and thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon service.